So as you can see, my name's Tony Beeston. Yes, I work in product marketing, but the reason I'm presenting this presentation is the first half of my career was in IT operations. Obviously based in the UK, but I actually used to go through all of the DR drilling, and I was unfortunate enough to have to go through a real DR scenario back there for the television industry. And I did also used to write our classic audit reports back to say, yes, we fixed all the problems, why we failed, about what's going on. So hence the reason why I'm here talking. This is for informational purposes. As you'd expect, it's not a roadmap. It is actually based on a customer story and a journey about what's going on, and I'll cover those details about what's happening. From an agenda perspective, I'm first of all actually going to talk about DRP today. Some of the challenges, I'm going to use some external things about, yes, we all do it, but not necessarily, we don't think about it enough. It's one of these necessary evils. I'm then going to talk about the challenges that we have in executing it. And many organizations still use an awful lot of manual effort to actually go and execute DR. This is normal. And obviously being part of the automation business unit, the clue is in the first part of the thing. Actually, we realized that automation can be applied to this in exactly the same way as you can workload automation. In workload, we might be running business jobs. Within disaster recovery, we're running tasks that talk to our technology, whether it be our DNS server, whether it be load balancers, these types of things. So all they are, they're still jobs, but they're talking to totally different technology about what's going on. I'm then going to talk about what's needed and effectively what's supplied within a solution for DRP, because it isn't just running things. We'll need an approval process in there, because I'll guarantee if your monitoring system detects there's a problem with a service, the one thing you don't want is automatically fail it over to DC2. You probably want to turn around and say, hey, things are saying it's not working, do you want to do this? Side of things. But also, we need to be able to drill frequently. Most organizations drill either once or twice a year and go through that drilling process. One of them invariably is the audit one, where we'll actually have users and everybody else moving. We have customers that drill weekly. We have one customer that actually fails over a live service for fun every week. It's the fact of getting to the point of confidence, my DR plan will work. The only way we can know that is we are always running it, about what's going on. And then I'm going to talk about actually a customer's results of automating DR. Unfortunately, I actually had some pictures of their DR center that I'm not allowed to use here because they're their property. I'll describe them because I recognize all the clumps of people having conversations about things that are going on. But I've got the data of what happened. So if we look at the efficiencies of our DR plan, and this information comes out from IDG, so it is not an unusual set of information. And when I speak to organizations, some agree, some say we're not that good, and some say, no, I'm better than that. It does depend on the technology you're in. If I've already invested in significant cloud services, SaaS cloud services, I've given responsibility for DR for those services to the cloud provider in some instances. Here we're typically talking about our own bricks and mortar, our own services that we're looking after. But a lot of people turn around and say, no, I really don't feel I'm prepared about what's going on. And the number of outages that were reported even surprised me. Now, only a couple of months ago, British Airways had a very small problem in their data center. They had an engineer in who was doing some work on the UPS system. He disconnected UPS and then flicked the wrong switch and took out main power. Power was only down for about 10 seconds. He realized, oh my goodness, switched it back on again. They decided not to instigate DR because they was thinking it will be faster for us to bring up on site. Rather than going, they didn't have the confidence DR would work for certain. 3 days later, they were still trying to bring up services and still trying to re-ticket people. But it just shows about this confidence of, will this work if and when I need it? And it is insurance, okay? The amount of human activity that's involved in these things, this is traditional. Back in the day when I did it, for those of you old enough, it was 6250 tapes I was loading, okay? Those that are younger, those are the round things that you see moving from side to side, okay? Just the thing. And testing and drilling at DR is less frequent than most executives would want, because it's the drill that gives us confidence. But also when we drill, that really also tells, is our DR site DR ready? We make a lot of config changes in production. Have they got across? Is this system, will it work? My recovery time objectives, my recovery point objectives for the business. Is my synchronization software maintaining it? If I was to fail over now, would I meet them? Or now? Or now? These types of things. And my own organization will have, how much data loss can I afford and how quickly do I need to come up? That invariably is by service by service. Yeah? Although when we think of DRP, we think of full site failover. Obviously, we have DR plans for each service. And obviously, if the entire thing goes down, we run all of them. But then we need to prioritize which services do we want to come up before others. Now, it's interesting to say, and people turn around and say, well, why wouldn't you talk about it? It's important. I hear lots of stories of problems, and it's costing lots of money. Actually, it's completely human nature. As people, we don't like to talk about the negative aspects of what's going on. Yeah? We find it a difficult conversation to have. So we do what we need to do. We undertake the drills that we need to do because we're told we have to do them, but we're not necessarily thinking, what if it happened today? What would happen? Until, of course, a real one happens. And it's unfortunate, we don't want to think about it. When mine occurred, it was back in the day when pagers could only send a numeric code. I live in the UK, so our emergency services number is 999, 911 for you. And that's all I received. The really interesting thing was I got to our DR site, I was the first one there, and I remember when I sat down, I drilled twice a year. I did notice that when I sat at the console, my hands were shaking. This one was for real. Is that the state of mind I want to be in for a successful, complex process with all the relevant dependencies? And that's where automation comes to allow us to help to do this. Now, it's pretty complicated. Now, I put a complicated screen up, yes, but we have the main 4 areas of things that we need to, but everybody's got a different piece of technology in a different place. Each of the teams that we've got already have existing technology to look after these things. We're not on about replacing these things, we're on about orchestrating all the activities these people need to do with all the relevant dependencies. And when I talk about workload automation, you'll hear me talking about business outcome checking. It ran, I got exit code 0. But did it do what I wanted it to do? See, you need to be able to do the checks that person does after they say, do this command. How do you check it worked? You need to be able to smoke test things, etc. So handing off between these teams slows us down. Yeah? I know we're all in the DR center. I know we're all within 70 feet of each other, but we're all running around like lunatics, and it just takes a little longer than we want it to be. And that's when we can create breakpoints of doing things in the wrong order. Sometimes we're quite a long way through the process before we realize, it won't work if we do that. We have to maintain these things for our complex systems to come up. If you've got a large-scale ERP system, there is a very defined order to come up. If you don't bring it up in that order, you will have challenges with it. Our failover site, we update production on a regular basis. I know we have maintenance windows, we'll apply a patch, etc. But we also need to check as part of DR, is my failover site DR ready? Can it take the service I've got? Is there a difference? I know we've got CMDB systems that should tell us I've applied this here and not here. But also, do I actually have enough file system space available at this point in time? Did somebody steal a bit of it for something? We often use DR for other purposes. Yeah? In that process, has something changed? Did they actually go and move a whole chunk of storage over somewhere else? And actually, they didn't realize if we went to DR, we'd have to restart again. The different tools that are used can't be used by different people. They're specialists, sorry. I worked in databases. That's why I was involved. The tools I used, my poor network guy, if I turn around, of course he can type the command. He has no idea what it's doing. Yeah? The same way as around application and networking. But we need to be able to work as a team. If we can actually externalize it, so me as the database expert says, this happens, this happens, this happens, these are the checks that occur, and I can publish it, the network guy could run it. If unfortunately I was in the building when it went out of commission. Yeah? So you can actually allow other people to be able to take over these things. They obviously need to be there, they are the specialists, but they build these processes. This is a bit of sucking eggs, okay? Because we have the business and DRP, and we have IT and the DRP. So, in business, we don't want to be disrupted. We want minimum disruption. I would assume that every person here already has an agreement within IT of, yes, we need to be up in X. For your business, X might be days, it might be hours, it might be minutes. If you're in seconds, you probably aren't instigating any sort of manual DR. It is completely automated, technology is handling it. We're not talking about those particular instances. We have to maintain critical processes. Your services that you deliver, some are really important, some are slightly less important. Some are important and have a much quicker recovery time. Email is one of the classic ones if it's still running it in-house. Actually, you need email up really, really, really fast because it's my communications channel. So I need that one, although it's not really a business service. So we need to be able to balance the priorities of the business to get these services up in the right order and be able to inform the business as soon as they're available. So you've actually closed that loop off. I talked about RTO and RPO. This is the standard things that we always publish, we always agree this is what we're going to do, but we also need to maintain at all times that we could do that. And one of the often challenges that I talked about, I turn around and say, okay, how much data loss have you allowed for? 2 hours. How far behind is your replication technology now? Oh, I could go and find out. Okay. How often do you go and find out? Yeah. Knowing that I am there, it's the insurance policy. Knowing I can do it. And if I'm not, let someone know and say, hey, do you know what? We're falling a bit behind here. We've got a challenge with what's going on. We also need the auditability of what we're doing. We need to be able to prove to others and to the board, this is exactly what we do. This is the results of everything that we did, and this is how it all happened. And that can be a challenge when we're going through a run book of, yeah, okay, what was the result of all of those commands you ran? Yeah, and making sure you're collecting it as you go. So again, it's useful. And obviously from a business perspective, protecting the brand is key. IT actually has the hard work. I would say that I work in IT, okay? We have the hard job because we're the ones that don't really want to keep going drilling it, but you know, we have to make sure everything is run at the right time. When you see a DR operation running, even when it's running manually and it's running like a well-oiled machine, it is beautiful to watch. It's almost as if you've got that conductor at the front of the room and you see this flow of people working. But it's inconsistent. And from IT, we have to have consistency. We must know we will do the same thing in the same order every time. And we are asked to do it faster and faster and faster. And human beings can only work at a certain speed before we start making accidental mistakes. Yeah, I came through my computer course at the time where it was mandatory to be a touch typist. So you used to have to take the Pitman test, and if you failed your IT course. Not everybody's a touch typist, but you know, as you go faster, you make more mistakes. And drilling costs us a lot. The human resource of moving them. We don't have an infinite supply of people in IT to be able to go and execute drills. So I'm not going to fail over, I'm just going to check it's all okay. So we can't do them regularly. Actually, with automation, one person can go and execute a drill. And everything is covered. Obviously, they can call back if there's any issues and then put it all back as it was afterwards. So you can actually drill much more frequently. So we talk about closing the loop, and you'd have heard this story a few times if you've been to other presentations about closed loop. Yeah. Defining every task that needs to occur within it, the approval processes, how do I check that it really did work? Connecting it to my monitoring and my replication services so that I can put it onto a dashboard and see, am I ready? And I can put it up in the boardroom if I like, say, look, everything's okay for the next IT meeting. You need to connect to a lot of sources of information. To be honest, you're not connecting to them. They are detecting it. You already have this. It's whatever tools you're using. They see that there is a problem. And then once we go into it, we then have to then start monitoring and executing all of these things for what we want to do. When we talk about DR, we always talk about failover. I am in my DR site and I am operating successfully. Absolutely wonderful. How often do you drill fail back? I was in DR, my primary is now working, I need to go back. And how successful is the last drill of doing that? So when we talk about modeling the process, you need to fail back. It's almost the reverse, not quite. So if I take a high-level architectural view of things, within the Automic One Automation platform, the central component is known as an engine. Every product has a name for something. You would typically have obviously one on either site. If your site is active, that would also be active, because they're basically always active, or you can switch it on. And it talks to lots of agents. We call them nodes, things, databases, whatever you wanted to talk to, okay? So, if my primary's up, I'm over here. If it goes down, they gave me the wrong presentation. Sorry, these red lines are meant to be over here. Obviously, the automation engine on the other side takes over. If you are, let's say, an existing AutoSys or D-Series, you wouldn't have this one. You don't need it, okay? Because this one can talk to these. There are proxy servers to allow them to get through any gateways you need to. So if you needed to make a call over here, so this is primarily if you was using the one automation platform for workload as well as service orchestration, etc. If you're only using, if you already got scheduling covered, don't need this one at all. There's no purpose for it, which is handy because they're licensed, so that's a good thing. So once we've done that, I'm going to take you through a few different screenshots. First of all, we can have a SelfService Portal. So you can turn around and say, hey, I'd like to fail over this service. I can choose to put a series of rules on that as to when it should occur automatically. Okay? Now, people get scared. I'm automatically going to fail over a service. The very first step in there, I'll guarantee, will be approval. Okay? There are companies that automatically fail over. Yeah? Most organizations, and certainly I'm always safety first. Let's just make sure monitoring didn't make a mistake. Yeah, and go check what's going on. But it allows us to build the policies as to when it runs, put it onto a self-service portal for selection, so anyone can select it. When we're failing it over, this is a workflow, job plan, whatever name you want to use for it. A series of tasks that need to occur in different ways. This could include approval. These are jobs as you would know them, but the technology the job is talking to is our IT systems. It is my DNS server. It is my big five. So I can adjust and talk to all of those things about what's going on. The one thing that the One Automation platform did is we created a huge amount of content to already reach those. But most of them are reached either through a web service call, if it's a little bit more modern. If it's got a bit more dust on it, it has a command line interface. Yeah, but all of these mechanisms, and it's basically the content already exists to talk to them. So you can drag them, drop, create the dependencies that you want to do. You can drill into different steps. So yeah, a workflow inside a workflow inside a workflow if you wish to. Again, another view of seeing that, and then other areas breaking out with our databases, mounting our resources. All the activities that we would undertake. And when we do one of these, invariably you would check a log, an output, to check for outcome. Did it really, really, really do what I expected? You'd also include smoke testing. So if I'm bringing up a web-based application, can I reach the login page? All as part of the same policies and the process. Once that's defined and sits there, you can then do some nice things about it, because now I know what I need to do, I know all the technology I'm talking to, so this is actually one of our customers' dashboards that they created for it. They have a series of services down here, which were their services. They've still got BlackBerry services. Which site is it currently operating in? Because they do use fairly dynamic switching. Are they running in primary or secondary? Yeah. So it's really primary, secondary rather than DR. But where is it running at this moment in time? They created the ability to trigger failover from this dashboard. I'm not sure if I'd be brave enough to do that, but the first step is to ask IT management for approval for it to go forward. This, if they're in process, actually fills up as it goes along. And because we maintain all the statistics, as we do in all automation policies, this actually shows up in real time about how far through am I, how long am I going to take. One of the biggest things we have in DR, some things we run, and take a while to run. Well, how long? How far am I through? These green lines, and you see them in the other monitors, show you how far through am I from the last time I drilled it. So I can, okay, I'm halfway through. It also predicts when I think I'm going to finish. So, have I got time to get a cup of coffee in before I get back? These types of things. How much is involved in doing it? How long did it take to actually go over? What my recovery time, recovery point objectives are, and they change color if they're going to miss them. Yeah, so they simply change color in there. Over here is the DR readiness of the second site to take the service. Could it take it? Now in their instance, they had the fact that people used to borrow large amounts of storage from systems in different places. When that used to occur, it would simply put the service to impaired. It's not that I can't, but it's not ready to be failed over to. So it's simply saying, okay, we've got something else to do. Importantly, failing back. We often talk about going this way. I want to come back. Yeah, the model for what's going on. Okay, and then over there, when was it last drilled? When was the last time we tested this? And what was the result of that test? So again, it's just turn around and say, yeah, we haven't got a service that's been falling way out of step and I haven't tested it for ages, these types of things. So it's an active dashboard that they sit there and watch and turn around and say, yeah, that's cool. So this is going through the bits that I was effectively talking about what's going on. This replication status is unique. Whatever their replication technology, theirs has a REST web service, and it turns around and says, how well are you doing? How far are you behind? Do you have any issues? Are you up to date? Have you got it to the other side? All the technologies have a mechanism to actually ask that. So it's just turning around and saying, okay, where are we with that? Again, information is key. As I said, we used to drill twice a year. If somebody come in 3 months, so we was 3 months away from a drill, and turn around and say, how well do we drill? I go, I can find the report I wrote and give me half an hour and I can come back and tell you. Okay. Actually having the information available on dashboards. Where am I? What takes time? How is that changing over time? So over the last 20 drills, has something started taking longer than normal? Is that going to cause me a problem with the time that I can come back? These types of things. So being able to do statistical analysis on what's going on. It's things we've been able to do on workload forever. It becomes a de facto standard. You can also put service level objectives on top of what's going on. What that will do is become proactive in managing it. So if I'm recovering a large service, maybe it takes 8 hours to actually do all the things it's doing. If you put a service level objective on there and within half an hour it starts to work out, hang on, if the same that I've been seeing carries on, I'm going to miss that 8 hours. It'll tell you then. You get early notification rather than a service level agreement, which is, yeah, I'm at 8 hours and 1 second, I failed. So it tries to do it as early as possible. Yeah, if it's a single command that takes 8 hours, it's not going to help you. Okay, it needs to be multiple steps. It's a bit obvious. But being able to get to the data means we can start to drill in, see what works, what doesn't work. How can we improve so that we can drill better next time and work better? As I say, lots of different pictures about seeing what's, the abnormal tasks that are occurring in there in different ways. What's the volume changes? So the benefits of automating our DR plan execution, and obviously if you had the content, you can assemble this in multiple different ways. By streamlining the process, the actual time of DRP execution is much shorter. A computer is always faster than a series of human beings with all the handover. Otherwise, there would have never been an enterprise job scheduler ever created, because if humans were faster. So we can get our services up faster, but also we can be confident and more consistent in its delivery. So when we make that phone call to say service ABC is up, we're confident it really is up. We didn't have to go and check it again ourselves. We have that confidence that it physically exists. We can also make sure, through drilling, that we're going to meet the service level objectives, and we can prove that to the board of saying, hey, board, you turned around and said, if we had a horrible disaster, we have to be back up in 4 hours. Here's the last 24 drills. This is the time it takes us to recover. This is when we're back. Here's my proof. Here's my evidence of doing it. Because once automated, I can drill as often as that is relevant to me. If you have systems where you don't want to drill daily, because that's a really bad idea, you can do it weekly. You could do it monthly. There's no cost to doing a drill other than getting probably one person to the DR site for the things that you can't automate. Because I need to pick this thing up and I need to move it here. Yeah, you can't automate those, but you can model those within the process to say, yeah, Tony, go and get this and put it here. Being able to drill into the analytics of what we do when it happens, that allows us to get better. Now, when we first started in the TV industry doing our first drills, our drills were taking around about 28 hours to complete. That was how long it was taking. It was like, it's okay, as long as something happens on a Friday, we're fine. Yeah. If it happens any other day of the week, that might be a bit of a problem. But through constant evolution and execution, got shorter and shorter and shorter. This is, with the analytics, you can actually drill into what's taking my time, where's the time taking, can I do something about it? And I can spend my time more efficiently. So the customer I was talking about is actually Inbank in Turkey. This is their metrics for their DR test. So they used to do a mostly manual DR exercise about what's going on. They had 37 services that were defined within there. Within the process, they've automated 93% of the tasks. So there's 7% of the tasks that a human being needs to do. Some of those are physical, others are grey matter decisions. There were some things they turned around and said, actually, no, I need that DBA to make a call on this. And I think one of those, being a former database guy before, was how long will it take to come back up? There's a bit of technology. They took 110 IT staff and 60 people to the drill because it was a full audited drill. So they had 60 staff there doing work, 110 IT staff. They spent 24 hours over there. It took them 88 minutes to switch over. So to go from primary over, up and running. It used to take them a lot, many, many hours prior to that. Importantly, for them, it took 40 minutes to come back. Okay? There's actually some less things that you need to do because of the problems what was going on. So prior to automation, their switch over used to take around about 6 hours. So they're pretty efficient in what they were doing, but it wasn't good enough for the business about what's actually happening. There is a customer story for this one actually on the website. If you want to go and see the details about what they're talking, I pulled out a couple of quotes from Emra about what's going there. It's a bit like buying an insurance policy. We buy an insurance policy not because we expect the event to occur, it's if the event occurs, I'm safe. And automating your DR policy is the same thing because the one thing is common is, will my DR work? And I've stood in a boardroom and I've been asked by the CEO, will DR work? And I've gone, yes. We've probably all had the same conversation at one point in time. By automating and drilling regularly, that actually turns to yes. Yeah, it's a very confident, and I can prove it to you. Okay. The mean time to recovery, getting faster. We need to make sure businesses, but in our modern world, at a service level, we're starting to instigate disaster recovery, and I'm not talking HA, disaster recovery more frequently.